Hi, welcome to New Lawrenceville Live. I'm Rodney Camren, your host, and today we'll be interviewing Larry Troutman, who will be running for Lawrenceville City Council. Welcome back. I'm Rodney Camren, your host for New Lawrenceville Live, and today we have with us Larry Troutman, who is running for Lawrenceville City Council. Larry, welcome to the show.
Rodney, thank you for inviting me. It's good to be here.
Well, thank you. Larry, you're running for Lawrenceville City Council this year, and why don't you tell us a little bit about you, who you are, what you've done in the community thus far, and why you're running for office?
Well, it's been mentioned, my name is Larry Troutman. I have been in the state of Georgia for some 40 years, and actually within the city, 23 plus years. Making my decision to run for city council, Rodney, was one that really wasn't planned until the first part of this year, when some things started happening within our business community that I really didn't like. I didn't like what I was hearing. And it became a real concern of mine because I am a business owner in the city. And I started getting phone calls and people stopping by my business and saying, we are concerned. So I really felt that I needed to look at what I could do and make a difference within the city. No politics in the past. I really did not want to be considered, quote unquote, a politician. Mm-hmm. I still don't consider myself a politician. I consider myself a person who is concerned about our city, which is a great city, our county seat, concerned about the development of what we have currently and where we can be in the future. We're in difficult times, economical difficult times in many areas. And that's the major thing that really catapulted me into making the decision to run. I actually did it over the final decision. It took about a week. And I said, well, I just have to do this. I prayed about it. You know, the good Lord led me to this point. I feel like that with some good advice, that I can make a difference there. So that's kind of what got me to this point. Now, as far as involvement into the community, I have been in many organizations. My work, naturally, with 6 companies that I've had over the past has limited me to involvement in some things where you meet during the day and so on. I've been asked to be part of the Gwinnett Senior Leadership Group, which I turned down. All of those other things out there, I'm very involved with the Gwinnett County Hospital System, which in the foundation as a board member there, and all of the progress, as many of you know, I worked with the hospital during this time to win over the fact of the cardiac department that we have now, which is very effective. Working with the City of Lawrenceville Police Department, with our Citizens Police Academy, has given me an insight as to what our city officials are doing from the standpoint of public safety. We do have the best police department in the country because I have sold in the past with one of our companies to many police departments throughout the state of Georgia and around the southeast. They do a great job. There are some things that need to be changed there. We need to respect what they do. And with 70 to 80 some, which you're a recruit from that that academy, you learn a great deal, as I learned a great deal. I think it's great for our community. But 70 plus recruits that are now actively working in the community to help, not only with the police department, but with making people aware of what a great city, what a safe city we do have.
Absolutely. Now, you talked about being a small business owner. As a small business owner in the city of Lawrenceville, what do you see our economic future being? You know, we have a lot of new things happening in the community, according to most, and But there's also some commercial enforcement codes going on with some of the small business owners. And then we've got economic development, now a whole new department in our community. How do you see all of that tying in or fitting in or working, or do you see it working at all?
Well, I do see it working. I think we have to take one step at a time. This has been a very strong city as far as businesses, and I say businesses, small businesses. That's all we're really going to have here is small businesses, regardless of what we would like to see in a big anchor store, a department store or something like that. It's just not going to happen, at least for many, many years to come. So we have a historical square. We have a historical area that people can shop. Our current business is decreasing as far as business owners.
That's not good.
There's over 220 empty professional buildings.
Wow.
And businesses that are not occupied as of last week in the city of Lawrenceville. Now we have over 2,000 businesses, and some of those are very, very small. Some are very, very large. We are not getting a lot of those businesses here. Quite honestly, when I started my campaign, I put a sign up that said, this is our campaign headquarters, come in and voice your opinion. Probably not the smartest thing for me to do. Because immediately I started getting people stopping by, and they said, well, do you have a minute to talk? Certainly, made myself available. And what they're all telling me, and these are business owners, we cannot continue under what is currently happening with the demands from City Hall, from our current council. They're wanting to change our signage. They're wanting to do away with grandfather clauses. They want no variances. And this is not something I'm making up. This just happened to a business owner 10 days ago that had a meeting at the mayor's office, and they were told specifically that I'm against all grandfather clauses and variances in our city. You can never not have variances in our city. Grandfather clauses are designed for specific things and things that are good. To see them not deteriorate and really not change, but it was working for a period of time with our city fathers or whatever you want to say. We have to build back the respect in Lawrenceville for businesses. We do not have that respect today. As a matter of fact, I don't go to church here in Lawrenceville. I go to Snellville. A lot of business owners there. I know many of the people on the city council in Snellville, also into Swanee and Norcross, and many of those businesses are moving to those close by cities. Why? Because they feel like they're being run off. I've been in business 7 years right off the square, and in 7 years I've only had one mayor and one city council member that has come in to shake my hand and say, thank you, Larry, for being here as part of a business. This is everywhere. The other problem we have, it's not really a problem, but see, most of our business owners don't live in the city. They're not residences of the city. They live in other areas. They've just sought to invest here, and so those investments are going someplace else. They're not going someplace else because the scenery's better, or they have a city town square that they can do that, or big lawns and things like that we're putting in. That's not bringing those people here. If you can't advertise your products and your wares in a way that the public can recognize them, then people don't know what you're doing. You know, we're not QTs and Applebee's and Hardee's. Those are national chains that are here, and thank goodness we have those. But we have got to build back the respect from our business community that the city council's behind them and not against them. And that's the feeling. That is the feeling. There is a difference between a business owner and a business manager. You're a business owner, Rodney. You know what it is to make your payroll, to do those things necessary to pay your employees. Like my opponent, I work for not a Fortune 200 company, but I work for a Fortune 100 company. $500 million plus budget and 1,700 employees at one time. Has nothing to do with this city.
Right.
It has nothing to do with this city. I'm proud of that, but since I have been a business owner and know what it is to sacrifice and to in some cases suffer, to have sleepless nights, how am I going to continue? And then to get something, a notice saying that you can't do this sign, that sign, this sign, and this sign. Now, I'm not saying I agree with every sign that goes up. But let's do not penalize everybody that's in business because of one or two, three people. And I feel that's what's happening. We have our council members now, we have an attorney, we have 3 educators there. And my feeling is that how can you run a business if you've never run a business?
Interesting.
This is a business that we're dealing with. Some $60 million that I've heard up and down that we have in our bank account. Most of that's earmarked for something. Where's our reserve? I've never heard about a reserve. Do we have a reserve? Things happen to cities, tornadoes, all types of things that can happen, ice storms. Where's our reserve? The other thing is, Rodney, that we hear on the street what's happening within the city council. A $9 million purchase of land that nobody knew about until after it was done. If those bonds were sold, then we should have known about those offering of bonds. There's plenty of people in the city that would have probably bought up most of those bonds. I don't know anything about why we bought it or anything. I know there's a lot of talk about college, the college quarter, and all of that. I'm all for education. But that's a long way from downtown Lawrenceville to bring people from there to here.
Right.
We're not in Athens. We'll never be an Athens town, nor do we want 72 bars on the street and those type of things. So I think where we are right now is that we've got to gain the respect back from City Council, which I believe I can do. I deal with more than 500 to 600 people a week in my business, face-to-face, one-on-one. And my wife told me a long time ago, she said, especially if you get into this race, you need to listen and don't talk so much, which I'm doing now. But it works. I listen. I've listened.
Well, don't they say we have 2 ears for a reason and only one mouth?
That's right.
Listen twice as much.
That's right. So that's kind of where I'm now. As far as the future is concerned, I think that we can bring business back. In the auction business, which is our main business now, my livelihood. We have currently 2 people that have said if January the 1st the signage issues go in and all of these things happen, I will be leaving Lawrenceville. I'll call you to liquidate my business. It would shock you as to who one of these people it really is. I don't want that happening. Right. I'm encouraging people to stay. Let's give it a chance. Let's do that.
Right. Well, now tell me, we talked a little bit there about businesses, but what about our neighborhoods? We have some concerns throughout our neighborhoods that continue to be brought up, and I'm sure that you've heard the same stories. Why don't you share with us how you feel about some of our neighborhoods and the enforcements and quality of life that we have there?
This is not more or less as to what I just finished talking about. Probably it's the most important thing for the growth of our city. You're a realtor. You know what it is to try to keep up the thing that's most valuable to us. That's our home. That's the largest investment we have. When we let people come in to homes that have been foreclosed and they're taken over by the banks, or people have just moved and they're renting their homes out. We talk about pawn shops, we talk about title stores and all of that. That's not our problem. That's not our problem at all in this city. Pawn shops can be very healthy. Title pawns, I don't really care about. But as far as the neighborhoods are concerned, just in my subdivision alone, recently we had a lady that had been approved by the city due to our current codes to have a daycare. Up to 6 people, daycare. But those 6 people actually turned into 17 people every afternoon.
Wow.
With no codes, nothing about 17 people, kids coming into a home, noise, more traffic and all of that. Since I've been part of the Citizens Police Academy and a part of the police department for many years, I've done many ride-alongs. I see what's happening out there after 10 o'clock. You know, law enforcement say anything after 12 o'clock that happens in the city, you shouldn't be out there anyway because they're up to no good. Our cities are patrolled by the finest police department in the country. However, there's some things going under the disguise of they own these homes, they do not own these homes. The banks, we need to come down on the banks, we need to call the property owners, and we need to put a stop to it. They say, well, we can't. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. We can put a stop to it because it just takes the initiative on those of us that are concerned. I do not want my home, it's bad enough to lose 50% of my value because of the economic conditions we're living in today because of our federal government. So if we don't start taking our own little areas at heart and letting us know where the problems are, only then can we fix them. And we can do that through quality of life. We need a couple of more people on the quality of life enforcement, but they also need to do their job. When we write 3 tickets in a period of just a few, over a period of 6 months, that's not acceptable.
Right.
It's not acceptable. So what we need to do, we've got the people, we just need to execute it, and we need to plan around the initiatives that we're going to take. They're in place. We just need to enforce them.
So we've got a couple more minutes here, and there's 2 things I want to touch on very lightly. One, schools. How do we get in control of our schools? We have a lot of negative input out there about our schools. Do we? Do we build a relationship with the county? How does that work?
Our schools are better now than they were, only because the police department has taken an initiative, along with the Gwinnett County School Police Force. We cleaned up the gangs. We do not have the gangs here that we used to have. We still have them, and don't let that alarm you. Those of you that are listening, we still have them. We're always going to have them. We need an ad hoc committee that's appointed by the city council to work with the superintendent of county schools and let them know our concerns. If it's a charter school that we need, or we need to look at that for the future, then that's what we need to do. The county school system is a large county school system we can't change unless we have some influential support from the total city council to work with the superintendent. We don't have that at this point that I see. We've tried, several of us have tried, and we really have not been able to get very far. We have a good school system.
Right.
We have some great teachers and we have some great principals. We just need to kind of get on a bended knee here and say, look, let us work with you. Right. How can we work with you?
And very quickly, what about open government and government spending? What are your thoughts on where we are with that right now as a city?
Well, as far as government spending, we're out of control, regardless of what some people may say. We do have quite a few dollars in our bank account, but we need to, before we purchase things, big things, we need to understand what they are. Let's don't spend it unless we need to. My grandfather once said, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. We do have some broken things, but nothing's ever been said about our infrastructure here. If we want all of these new businesses and things, we're going to need parking. We have no parking in the city to speak of. A new deck that we have, but we have no parking. The lawn up there, maybe somebody will let us use that lawn space for parking. That would be an ideal place because it's not going to be used all the time, and I don't see it being a profit center for our city. It's a great thing to have for activities. As far as open policy, I don't like the fact that you have to submit in writings a week before a city council meeting what you'd like to speak about. I think that we need an open government. We need to be able to voice our issues. The citizens would, if they put me in office or anybody, our current elected officials, they have been put in there by the citizens. If you have a good moderator, you have a good system at a city council meeting, give that last 3 minutes to 5 minutes for anybody that would like to stand up, voice their opinion under controlled circumstances. We're not wanting an outcry of all of these things or rah, rah, rah type of thing. But we have nobody at city council meetings. Why? They can't say anything. I don't want to sit there for 40 minutes and talk about moving a berm up 18 inches or lower 18 inches. It makes no difference to me. So we need that. We need open policy. We need the fact that we know what the city government's doing. We were told 2 years ago or more that it'll be transparent. Everything will be on the utility bill or something. We'll see the budget, we'll see the numbers. That hasn't happened. Two members on the council made that promise. We've never seen it. I've never seen it. I get a bill every month.
And Larry, thank you so very much for coming out.
Thank you, Rodney.
And we really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And good luck in the races.
Appreciate it.
And,
I'd just like to say I appreciate
absolutely.
what your group is doing as an organization. First of all, you have not endorsed a candidate, nor have any of your members done that. But I think the work you're doing is good. We need it. It's one way now for us to have an opportunity to voice our thoughts, and maybe we can do that more often through Lawrenceville Live.
We want to thank Larry Troutman for joining us today on the show. And if you'd like to be a guest on New Lawrenceville Live, be sure to reach out to me, Rodney Camren, at 404-375-1496. We'll see you next time.